I've always been bad with hierarchy. Call me a Gen Z cliche all you want, but there's something about being told to accept my place just because someone else decided it that never really sat right with me. And as you can imagine, this has caused me many problems. It caused me problems at home. I remember very vividly looking deep inside my mom's eyes with all the courage an 8-year-old could have and tell her, "I'll respect you if you respect me." Which is a bold thing to say, especially when you still need permission to watch TV or something. Later, it caused me problems at work because I just couldn't wrap my head around the fact that a bad idea just needed the big boss and a PowerPoint for everybody to suddenly take it seriously. And it caused me problems at the United Nations. Yeah, one of the most hierarchical places on Earth, where 5 countries have more power than everybody else, just because a group of men sat at a table in 1945 and called it peace. I remember walking into the rooms of the United Nations headquarters in New York City and feeling the weight of everything I was supposed to represent there. I had just been chosen amongst thousands of young people from all around the world to represent youth in conversations about technology, AI, and the future with world leaders. That's quite a big responsibility. And I wanted to do it honestly. So I went all in. I brought my combat boots, my piercings, my feminist theory, my refusal to smile politely at someone important after they said something completely nonsense. I mean, if I had been chosen to represent youth voices, I wanted to bring an actual voice, not a softened conference badge version of one. The problem is that once you are in these places, you realize that powerful rooms filled with powerful people have codes. And if you don't respect these codes, you will be, somewhat directly or indirectly, punished. The thing is, no one really tells you what these codes are. You learn by watching. You watch who gets to speak first, whose accent is treated as expertise, and whose accent is great effort, who gets to be angry and who has to be really collaborative. And I thought, okay, maybe this is the price to pay for being in these rooms. Maybe I do have to become a little more polished, a little less angry, a little bit more diplomatic. But the problem was, I was not there to say small, polished things. I was actually very angry. I was really angry because digital systems are shaping how we use technology, how we get seen, who gets targeted. I was very angry because young people are suddenly faced with this burden of being so addicted to our phones without actually people realizing that we are living inside unregulated tech monopolies designed to keep us scrolling, anxious, addicted, and profitable. And world leaders needed to face that reality. So the thing is, if becoming more acceptable meant becoming a softer version of myself, then what was the point of being there anyway? So for a while, I thought I had to choose. Either I could go all in, be my full self, and at best risk being dismissed, and at worst, never invited back. Or I could become a more palatable version of myself for the United Nations, but then lose the whole point of being there entirely. And I hated both options, wouldn't you? But then I realized maybe there was a third option all the way. Maybe I could learn how power speaks without letting it decide what I could say. And once you learn how power speaks, you start hearing it everywhere. The apps in our phones, what we see on social media, the answers we get on ChatGPT, So much of what feels inevitable in technology today is actually a choice someone made, then wrapped in language most of us were never even meant to understand. Technology makes so many of us feel powerless for the same reason these powerful rooms do. Because decisions are wrapped in some sort of way that we just feel inadequate in front of them, and we feel like we don't even have the right to question it. So then, here again, we feel like we have two choices. One, we just disengage completely. We delete all apps, we leave Instagram, we run to the woods, or we just have to accept it. Keep doom scrolling, accept all cookies, tell ourselves that this is just how technology works. And if we said yes to the terms and conditions without reading it in the first place, maybe this is what we deserve. But what if here we also have another choice? Another choice very similar to the one I had to make. Claiming the right to question it. We can learn how power speaks without letting it decide what we're allowed to ask. And that actually is so much smaller than most people think. When you face a digital system that makes you feel angry or unsafe, you can ask, why is engagement, even when engagement means abused, still accepted? When an AI tool is introduced to your school or your workplace, you can ask, what is this tool even doing here in the first place? What data does it collect? And can anyone even question its decisions? When young people are facing high levels of stress and mental health decline after being on social media, you can ask, wait, why are we treating this as some sort of personal failure when this is actually a business model? But after we ask ourselves all these things, we have to find others asking all these questions too. Because hierarchy maintains itself by getting us to think that we're the only ones questioning it. And power hides behind words that most of us don't understand, and we feel inadequate for questioning it. So we have to find ways to organize. Because the only way to face technology the way it is today is by organizing. And this has happened all around the world. In Brazil, where I come from, collectives have organized against facial recognition systems in the public transportation of São Paulo, and they managed to get it taken down. Queer feminist collectives in Europe have organized against censorship by Meta, and they managed to get queer feminist content back online. My organization, Equilabs, and digital rights movements all around the world have organized at the United Nations, at the European Commission, to get youth voices back into policy decisions, and then into decisions that most countries will have to follow. So maybe being bad with hierarchy isn't that bad after all. Maybe that's how we remember that the future is still negotiable. And if big tech wants our data, our access, our imagination, and our lives, then our terms and conditions are very simple. I'll respect you if you respect me back. Thank you.